And good afternoon. Welcome again to another edition of Tech20 Tuesday. It's November the 8th, and it's Tuesday afternoon at 3:40. Time today, I wanted to take a quick look at some traditional stuff that many of us are familiar with, and a new little platform that's sort of emerging that's kind of cool. So a lot of us are used to the TED Talks program, where there's a lot of videos that are now being produced, little 10 to 20 minute lectures, some pretty cool stuff around just a variety of ideas. And the TED group have really expanded this, and now there's TEDx events all over the world, and all of those events are recorded and shared on a public platform that you can download and use those. And a lot of teachers are using those in their classrooms. But there's this new emerging platform that's coming out of TED called the TED Ed Lessons. And it's a new youth and education initiative from the TED group, and it's pretty cool. So today I want to take a little bit of a few minutes and just sort of explore that with you. So let's go back to the TED group. So when you sign into TED, when you log into TED, you're going to see kind of a group of stuff, and you can go in here and you can find basically videos about anything. So if you're teaching world affairs at high school, or you're teaching coding or any of these things, you can use all these videos to sort of enlighten your kids and engage your students into conversations. And so when you come in here, you can do some search. You can download the videos, which I would encourage you to do if you want to use them in a classroom. I always try to encourage teachers to download them ahead of time so that you actually have it on your computer, so that you're not worrying about whether or not your connectivity is going to be up on the day that you want to show them. So a lot of us are pretty familiar with the TED platform and all the videos that are exciting and that you can use in here. You can rate them, and you can even turn subtitles on, by the way. So if you have kids who you think could use that support during the lesson, that's great as well. But I wanted to show you this new platform called TED Ed. And you notice that here it's ideas we're spreading. Well, here it's lessons worth sharing. So the whole TED group is technology, engineering, design. It was started quite a few years ago, and it's really grown. But what they've done now is they've started to build lessons that you can use in your classroom with your students. Even cooler, you can create some of your own. So let's have a quick look around. So when we come into TED, the one thing you will do is you'll need to sign in. So you'll need to actually create an account, and the account actually works with TED as well. But so for the TED Ed, you'll need to create an account to log in to be able to see it. And so you can create an account, your students can create an account. And I have some ideas around that I'll share later. But so everybody can create their own account, and you can favorite and organize your lessons as you wish and catalog them. So when you come into the TED Ed lessons, you click on the lessons tab, and the first thing you're going to see are some lessons that come up right away. And sort of these are, I guess, the popular ones that are going on right now. Why do dogs smell each other's butts? And we'll stay away from that one, but you can see here that there's all kinds of things. Why are sharks so awesome? Can you solve the river crossing riddle? That's a pretty cool one. So when you come in here, it's going to give you, and let's just try this one. Can you solve the river crossing riddle? So what it's going to give you is it's going to give you a video. Now, some of these videos have been produced specifically for TED. Some of the videos are just YouTube videos. All of these lessons have been designed by teachers and submitted by teachers. And in fact, you can submit your own lessons if you want. I'll show you that in a minute. But so the first thing you can do is you can watch the video. So over here, there's watch, think, dig deeper, and discuss. And then you can customize it. So if you want to change it a bit for your group, that's fine. But so you can watch the video and so this is a common riddle that a lot of students may or may not get. And what is neat here is that this will show you what's the fastest way to get all 6 animals across, giving a set of parameters. But then as you go along, it says pause here if you want to figure it out for yourself. So now the students get to look at the challenge, you've given them the parameters, and now they have to pause, or you can pause and let them work on it for a while, and then the answers come up. And so it's really walking you through some of the answers. Now, not all the lessons are structured in the same way, but this is how this particular one is structured, and it gives you a lot of options and those kinds of things. Here's where it gets interesting. So you could do this with anything in your classroom. You'll notice this is just a YouTube video, so you can find this on YouTube. But what's neat about this, it gives you a think option. So now kids can come in here and you can see that it's got questions for them to challenge them based on their knowledge or based on their understanding of what they've already seen. So it says, why can't the first move be two wildebeest going across? Well, if we had to watch the video a little longer, you would know that if the first two wildebeest went across, the third wildebeest that doesn't go across will get eaten by the three lions. So we know that's the right answer. So now we're going to save my answer, and it's going to tell you correct. So the kids or the students can walk them through which animal going across first to make the most efficient number of moves. So we can go one lion and one wildebeest. So we know that's the right answer if we had watched the video, and because it all talks about that. But now it starts to get interesting in that it gets into, and I'm just going to skip through some of these, it asks you some of the open-ended questions, which are kind of interesting. So, that could save kids, so kids can save their answers underneath their account if they have signed in. So it's pretty interesting that way. Now, it'll give you some dig deeper, so additional resources for you to explore. So there's some readings for you to do, a little bit about the background. And then here, I think, is really cool. It gives you, the teacher has presented a guided discussion question, which you could then put out on here, or you could put that question up on your classroom blog or your classroom web space, where then the kids could follow up and have that question later, or they could put it in their math journal, or whatever else you're using to record that anecdotal work that the kids are doing. So, and what other problems do you think are like this in the real world? And there's lots of ideas that the kids might come up with that they could share. So these are the kinds of lessons that are in here. So let's say I'm a social studies teacher, and one of the things that maybe that I'm really trying to work on is, especially it's very interesting for First Nations communities and for our studies right now, is the idea of America Pox, or this interactions between the European settlers and the First Nations people, or the Native American people that you'll find they referred to in here. And so they talk about this video discusses the reasons why the plagues that were brought by the first European colonizers to North America killed off about 90+% of the indigenous population. Why didn't the diseases go the other way? Weren't there diseases here in North America amongst the First Nations people that would have been brought back to Europe? And so this again allows you to come in here and think and dig deeper, and then some discussion questions. So these are really cool platforms for you to be able to use within your lesson. And the neat thing about it is that, for instance, if you wanted to share this, and I think this is cool, so if I just take this particular URL here, I can copy this and paste it onto my class website or my class wiki space, or wherever I want to share it with my kids, and how you're going to do that. And then they can actually take their devices, and it works really well on mobile devices. This works perfect on any kind of device. It's not just a computer-based. It works great on phones and all kinds of devices. You give them that URL, and then they could be working on this on their own. So they could be taking this home and watching the video and thinking and digging deeper, a little bit deeper themselves, and then bringing in the discussion questions for class. So if you're thinking about maybe ways that you want to flip your classroom, this is a great platform to do that in. A couple of other ideas before we go. So there's lots of stuff in here. You can browse through it and find the stuff. Everything is searched. There's also series. So there's series of is that going to work? There we go. So there's all kinds of different series that go along with this. TEDx, so there's periodic videos around the periodic table, superhero science, inventions that say shaped histories, the way we think, visualizing data. So there's all kinds of really cool series in here, and it tells you that there's 26 videos in here around playing with language that you can then use and share with your students and build stuff. So there's lessons, there's series, and you can create your own lessons. This is where it gets really interesting, because you can click on here. So you can put in your own URL, YouTube URL. So if you have a YouTube video that's maybe 2 or 3 or 8 minutes long, if you put in that URL, you can then create your own lesson series. And I'm going to come back here to create a lesson here. So I'm going to put in a keyword, and we're going to put in PYTH. Okay, so here's some videos. So let's just choose this one. So I'm going to continue. What it's going to allow me to do is actually, remember how we had all those questions in there that were created? Well, I can put my own questions in. I can put my own discussion in. And I can put my own supplemental info and conclusions. So it allows me to not just use one that somebody else has given me, but I can then create my own TED Ed lessons and host them right on the TED Ed website. So I can choose something that's more relevant to what we're studying in class right now. And if I can't find a lesson within TED Ed, I can create my own and use their platform to share it with my class. So I can put in questions, multiple choice, all kinds of different things. I can put in discussions, and you saw how they looked. So that's a really cool thing. Or think about this. What if we could have our kids creating lessons and sharing their lessons and their understanding with the rest of the world? So the kids come in here and they create and their own lesson about something that they've studied, and then they share their lesson with the rest of the class. They can even use their own videos, because all you need to do is host a video on YouTube. So if the kids are creating something, maybe they're doing something around school, around their community, maybe they've done a little science experiment, they can record that science experiment, and even using a whiteboard recorder. So if they're doing drawing and narration on the whiteboard, they can do things like that. They can then share that lesson out on YouTube and then bring it back and build their own TED Ed lesson that they can then share with their classmates. So I really think this has a lot of potential for teachers and students, and they can go in there and really use this to create some interactive content that's going to engage kids sort of on an anywhere, anytime basis, using hyperlinks that kids can access this and really be challenged and thinking about it, and maybe then bring their ideas or their questions or their comments to class the next day for the conversations. The last thing I wanted to show you is that there are actually clubs. So there are TED Ed clubs that you can start in your school. And so what they're looking for is for you to start a TED style talks club in your school. So kids would create these videos, share them with the rest of the world, and they would be the ones who would be doing the talking. So how they work, so students work together, celebrate those creative ideas. They record their talk, their conversation, and then they share that with the world using the TED Ed platform with all their ideas. And so I think that as you get going along, especially for high school, even for middle school, some of these would be really great platforms to give kids a voice, to give them some purpose to the things that they're learning, and to really engage them with the rest of the world. So that's the TED Ed platform. I think it's got some real potential for teachers who want to try to work their way through it, figure it out, create your own lessons, engage your kids, as I said, really on an anywhere, anytime basis. So that's Tech 20 Tuesday for today, or TED Ed lessons, something worth sharing. If you have any questions, you can follow up with us on Tech 20 Tuesday on the website. You can email me at jeff.whipple@nbed.nb.ca. And send us along your ideas for for Tech 20 Tuesday. If you have something you want us to feature and have a look at and share, we would be glad to do that. Till next week. We will see you next Tuesday afternoon on Tech 20 Tuesday. Until then, have a great week.